Hello students, welcome to the second class of economics of class 10th. We were discussing the first chapter, development, in our previous class. We have covered certain topics. We have covered the meaning of the term development. We have discussed the characteristics of development. We have discussed income and other criteria or development mix. We have also discussed the concept of national development. Today, we will start with how to compare various states or countries. This is a very interesting and a broad concept. We have to understand how do we compare and say which state is more developed, how do we compare two countries and say which country is more developed and which country is less developed. Whenever we talk about developed countries, which country comes to our mind? United States of America. The first and foremost country which comes to our mind is USA. And we think about developing country, we say that our country, India, is a developing country. How do we say that and why do we say that is what we will learn in this next slide of ours. How do we make a statement whether this country is developed or not, whether this country is developing or whether this country is underdeveloped, is what we will learn in this particular topic. So let us go to the main slide. Right. The slide is comparing different states or countries. So first and foremost thing, the most important concept in this is that when you compare two different states or when you compare two different countries or more countries, you have to take more than one feature for the comparison point of view. You cannot only rely on income. Yes, income is one of the most important feature for comparing, but only income cannot be the complete feature for the comparison. We need to take various other aspects in order to compare two different states or countries. Let us see what are these aspects. Income is the most important attribute for comparison. True, very true. But other than income, we also take into consideration these three different aspects. First is infant mortality rate, IMR. Second is literacy rate. And third is net attendance ratio. So apart from income, three more criteria, three more attributes. First is income, second is infant mortality rate, third is literacy rate, and the fourth one is net attendance ratio. Income mein we will find out an important concept, the concept of average income or per capita income. Income as total income we are not going to consider while comparing states or countries. But instead of total income, we will compare the average income or the per capita income of that state or of that country. Let us see in detail what is average income. Average income. Since different countries have different population, therefore comparing only on the basis of total income will not give us the correct picture. We have to find out what an individual person is earning. So therefore, we consider the topic of, we consider average income while comparing countries or states. What is average income? It is very simple. Average means per person. Per capita means per person. Therefore, average income is the total income of the country or the state divided by the total population of the country or the state. Let us say India has a total income of 200 crores and there is a population of 2 crores. Therefore, every person or the average income is 100 rupees. You see how per capita income gives you a clear picture of what one single person is earning. Therefore, per capita income is the correct thing to be used while comparing states or while comparing countries. The formula of per capita income, as we have discussed, per capita income is equals to the total income of the country or the state divided by the total population. Dear students, copy these slides in your copy. You write everything down which you see. You pause the video, write it down and again play the video, so that when afterwards you can always have a copy ready with you. So per capita income is per individual or individual income of that state or individual income of that country. How is it calculated? We take the total income of the country or total income of the state and we divide it by the total population of the country or total population of that particular state. Then we get the per capita income or per person income or average income of that particular region. Alright? So while comparing states or countries, the first and foremost criteria is we compare the per capita income or the average income. The second was infant mortality rate. Let us see in the next slide what is infant mortality rate and what does infant mortality rate tell us. Before that, let us discuss, according to 2019 statistics, we will see how we can say which country is developed. Blue shows high per capita income, that means the people are earning more. Light blue shows pretty decent. Peach shows average. Orange shows below average and red shows very poor per capita income. So in this world map, on the basis of per capita income, we can clearly see that countries like United States of America, Canada, Britain, England are all high per capita income countries. Here the population is less, the income is more, therefore individual income of a person is on the higher side. Coming to the light blue part, we will see that the Russian countries and part of European countries come under the light blue part, which is slightly less than United States or the Australian countries. India falls into the lower part of the per capita income along with certain African countries. You can see here clearly. And at last, which are the poor per capita income countries? The countries which we can say are very poor, these are the African countries like Somalia and all. You see, all these are maroon or dark brown, which shows that it has a very poor per capita income. So this graph shows which country is better, which country is bad or poorer in comparison or on the basis of per capita income. Now let us go to the infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate is defined as an indicator which shows the number of children that die before the age of 1 year out of 1000 children who have taken birth in that particular year. 1000 बच्चों में से कितने बच्चे 1 साल से कम की उम्र में मर जाते हैं, ये दिखाता है infant mortality rate. Mortality means death. Infant means a child, a small baby. ठीक है? तो infant mortality rate, again let me tell you, it shows the number of children that die at the age of less than 1 year out of 1000 children who have taken birth in that particular year. So why do we take infant mortality rate while comparing different states and countries? Because the infant mortality rate shows us the health and medical facility of that country. क्या पता चलता है हमको इन्फेंट मोर्टेलिटी रेट से? अगर बच्चे के मरने की संख्या ज्यादा होगी, इससे हमें यह पता चलता है कि जरूर उस कंट्री में, उस देश में या उस राज्य में स्वास्थ्य सुविधाएं अच्छी नहीं है, इसीलिए बच्चों की जिंदगी डॉक्टर्स नहीं बचा पा रहे हैं। या दवाएं अच्छी नहीं उपलब्ध हैं जिसके कारण बच्चे नहीं बच पा रहे हैं, राइट? द इन्फेंट मोर्टेलिटी रेट शोज अस दैट द हेल्थ एंड मेडिकल फैसिलिटी इन दैट एरिया, इन दैट स्टेट और इन दैट कंट्री इज नॉट गुड और इज वेरी वेरी गुड. Therefore, we take infant mortality rate as a aspect by comparing two different countries and states. High infant mortality rate means if there are more number of deaths, if lots of children are dying, what does that mean? That means that there is poor health and medical facility in that country or state. If the low infant mortality rate is there, if children are not dying, what does that show? You tell me. It shows that that state or country has a good medical facility, good number of hospitals, good number of nursing homes, good number of medicines available for the child. Therefore, the child is not dying. Therefore, infant mortality rate is the second aspect on which we will compare two different states or countries. First was per capita income, second is infant mortality rate, which shows us the health and medical facility of that region. Let us see what does the world graph tell us. See, in 2017, 0 to 5%, that means very less children died in America, in Canada, in Brazil, in Russian countries, in China. The infant mortality rate is very low. That means they have good hospitals, good medical facilities and good number of medications available. Whereas if you move to India, you will see it is at 3%. That means 3% out of 1,000 children die in India at the age of less than 1 year. If we move to African countries, which we all know, as per capita income it is poor, and here also as infant mortality rate, we will see that African countries, the number of death rate of infants is 5% to 10%. That means out of 1,000 small babies less than 1 year old, 5 to 10% babies die. What does that show? This chart tells us that in countries like Canada, Brazil, South America, Russia, China, there is good medical facility, good hospitals, good medications available. Whereas in countries like African countries, the medications, the medical facility, the hospitals, the nursing homes, number of doctors are very less. Therefore, the number of children dying is more, right? So now we have understood what infant mortality rate is. इससे हमें ये पता चलता है कि किस कंट्री में स्वास्थ्य सुविधाएं ज्यादा अच्छी हैं और किस कंट्री में स्वास्थ्य सुविधाएं बहुत ज्यादा खराब हैं या बहुत दयनीय हैं. The third aspect of comparing two different states or countries is the literacy rate. Literacy rate means literacy rate measures the percentage of literate population in the age of 7 and above. 7 years की ऊपर के बच्चों में या लोगों में लिटरेट कितने हैं, पढ़े लिखे कितने हैं, is what literacy rate measures. Literate means a person who is able to read and write. Educated and literate are two different words. Educated means what you are. We have studied various subjects. But literate is very basic form of education which enables one person to read and write. Therefore, literacy rate shows us that how many percentage of literate population is there in a country or a state which is above the age of 7 years old. What does literacy rate tell us? Why do we use literacy rate as a aspect or as an indicator while comparing states and countries? Literacy rate tells us how good the education system of that area is. See, literacy rate indicates the level of education in the country. Do we have sufficient schools? Do we have sufficient colleges, universities, coaching centers, hospital, medical colleges? So you see how literacy rates helps us to compare various states and countries on the basis of education. Per capita income was financial comparison. Infant mortality rate was on the medical and health facility comparison. Now literacy rate shows us the educational level of that state or of that country. High literacy rate means more number of people are educated, are literate. Therefore, that means there are good number of schools, better educational facilities. And low literacy rate, what does that mean? It means that there is a poor educational facility in that area. Let us see this again map and find out which country has the highest literacy rate and which country has the lowest literacy rate. Blue one shows that in America, in Canada, in European countries, in Russia, in Australia, the literacy rate is very high. That means the educational facility of America, of Canada, of European countries, of Russia and of Australia is very good. Good number of schools, good colleges, good universities are available and present in these countries. Whereas if you come to some African countries again, you will see that there is absolute lack of education. Therefore, the people here are not literate. What about India? India is 60 to 70% literacy rate. That means around 70% are literate. 30% of the population is still not literate. You see, this map clearly shows us which country has better schools, better educational facilities and therefore high literacy rate, and which country has poor schools, no education facility, and because of that there is very low literacy rate. The next is net attendance ratio, the last concept or aspect for comparing two different states or countries. Net attendance ratio or NAR is the total number of children of the age group 6 to 10 years attending school divided by the total number of children in the age group 6 to 10. 6 से 10 साल के जितने भी बच्चे आपके देश में हैं, अगर उसके 6 से 10 साल के जितने भी बच्चे स्कूल जाते हैं, उसको अगर आप डिवाइड कर दें 6 से 10 साल के जितने भी बच्चे हैं उस देश में, that is called net attendance ratio. We will find out how many students or how many children are going to school. कितने बच्चे स्कूल जा रहे हैं, कितने बच्चे ड्रॉप आउट कर चुके हैं, किसी भी कारणवश वो अब स्कूल नहीं जा रहे हैं, पढ़ाई से उनका संबंध नाता टूट चुका है. तो नेट अटेंडेंस रेशियो क्या दिखाता है? What does net attendance ratio show us? It indicates the financial health of the people and the poverty level of the region. क्यों? कैसे पता चलेगा? How do we find out कि financial health क्या है? एक बच्चे को कोई माता पिता स्कूल भेजना क्यों बंद करेगा? सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होगा या तो उसके पास पैसा नहीं है फीस भरने के लिए, या उसको अपने बच्चे से नौकरी कराना है, चाइल्ड लेबर कराना है. Right? Therefore, if higher is the net attendance ratio, that means the child, the area has got good financial health. But lower net attendance ratio, that means less children are going to school. What does that show? That shows us that the area is financially challenged because the parents are not able to pay the fees, or the parents are sending their child to work somewhere and earn money for the family. Therefore, net attendance ratio shows us or indicates the financial health of the region or the country or the state. So now, final conclusion. How do we compare different countries and states? Number one, on the basis of per capita income or average income. Number two, on the basis of literacy rate. Number three, on the basis of net attendance ratio. and number 4 on the basis of infant mortality rate. Income shows us the total income, average income of the country. Infant mortality rate shows us the health facility. Net attendance ratio shows us the financial level, and literacy rate shows us the educational level. Therefore, in order to compare countries or states, we take income, education, health and financial level into consideration. Alright, let us move to the next slide. It's a very interesting thing. We have to understand this concept. What is public facility? Public facility means the basic facilities that all people need in the society. The basic facilities that people need in the society, such as transport, health, education, water, electricity, roads, sanitation, cleanliness, etc. So these are the basic facilities that people need in a society. Money cannot buy everything. One needs public facility too in order to live well. It is a very interesting statement that even if you have lots of money, you cannot live nicely. You need to have public facility in order to live well. You remember, this is a very important word. One needs public facility in order to live well. You can survive, but in order to live nicely, you need public facilities. Why? What is that? Let us understand this with the help of an example. Let us say you have got so much money that you buy a very expensive car. Let us say you buy a Mahindra Scorpio or a Toyota Innova or a Toyota Fortuner. But the roads are not there. Road is what? A part of public facility. The roads are absolutely absent or missing. Where will you drive the car? Will you be able to enjoy that car which you have purchased? No. You have purchased an air conditioner. You have installed it in your bedroom, but there is no electricity. Will you be able to use that air conditioner? Will you be able to sleep in cold, low temperature? No. Therefore, you see, in order to live nicely, although you have money, it is good, but in order to live nicely, you also need to have public facilities. In the absence of public facilities, you will not be able to live nicely. You have got lots of money. You have a beautiful house, but the moment you come out of the house, the roads are all dirty. The sewage, the drains are all overflowing. What will you do? Will you be a happy person? No, you will not be a happy person. Therefore, you need sanitation. You need the drains to be cleaned. You need the garbages to be removed every day. Therefore, only money cannot buy you happiness. In order to live nicely, you need to have money plus public facilities. I hope you have understood this topic also. Alright, let us go to the next and the last slide. The topic of sustainable development. It is a relatively new concept. Sustainable development. Development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations. Let us not go into these. Let us understand this by a simple concept. What we are using today, the resources, the natural resources, is it ours? No. It has been given to us by our previous generation to use, and we are also responsible to give it to our coming generation to use. Therefore, sustainable development means you have to use the development, the resources in such a manner that your needs are also fulfilled, as well as resources are left for the coming generation for their use. For example, petrol and diesel. Everyone is using petrol and diesel, and we know that the resources are limited. Someday or the other it will get over. So what should we do as responsible citizens? We should make sure that we follow the concept of sustainable development. We should use the current reserve, the current petrol and diesel in such a manner that our work is also done, but also keeping in mind that we have to save that petrol and diesel for the future generations, so that our children, their children, their children can use these resources and live nicely. Let us say, whenever you sit at home for dinner, Mummy has served your dishes on the table. Mummy has cooked very tasty paneer, butter masala and roti, and you are very hungry. What do? When you sit and start eating, do you finish off the entire paneer? Do you eat all the rotis? No. What do? You take little bit of paneer and few chapatis or rotis, which will fulfill your hunger, and the remaining you leave for the others to eat. That is the concept of sustainable development. क्या आप सारा कुछ खा लेते हैं जो मम्मी आपके सामने टेबल पे सब किसी के लिए बनाई है? नहीं. आप थोड़ा सा पनीर लेंगे, 5, 6, 4 रोटी लेंगे अपने अनुसार, बाकी छोड़ देंगे कि बाकी घर वाले पापा, मम्मी, दीदी, भाई, बहन, दादा, दादी, नाना, नानी ये खा सके. सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का कॉन्सेप्ट भी कुछ ऐसा है. ये बोलता है कि आप अपने यूज के अनुसार रिसोर्सेज का इस्तेमाल करें, ये ध्यान में रखते हुए कि बाकी लोगों को भी उस रिसोर्सेज का इस्तेमाल करना है इन द फ्यूचर. दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट. लेट अस रीड इट. डेवलपमेंट मीट्स द डेवलपमेंट दैट मीट्स द नीड्स ऑफ द प्रेजेंट, आपका जरूरत, without compromising the needs of the future generation. It is a comparatively new concept developed by economists and social scientists, and it says that we have inherited the earth or world from our ancestors and we must pass it to our children. बहुत important line है. This is a very important line about sustainable development. Sustainable development says that world जिसमें हम रह रहे हैं, हमारे परदादाओं ने हमें दिया है और हमको इसको अपने आने वाले जनरेशन को पास ऑन करना है. Therefore, sustainable development means using the current resources in such a way that our needs are also fulfilled and the future generation is also left with that resource to be used. All right? I have a homework for you. You all are sitting at home. I want you to sit with your family members. Sit with your papa, mummy, sit with your uncle, auntie, sit with your grandfather and discuss this topic. That your sir has told you that money in your pocket cannot buy all the goods and services you need to live well. अच्छे से जीने के लिए आपके पॉकेट में रखा हुआ पैसा आपको अच्छा जिंदगी नहीं दे सकता है. You have to discuss this with your parents, and when the school reopens, we will have a good debate in the classroom also. Thank you, students. With this, we come to the end of chapter 1, which is development. You can play this video all day long. As many times you want, you can share it with your friends. This is the first time St. Michael's Academy, your school in Bettiah, has started this e-learning activity. And I hope this is really benefiting you. Sit at home, play all the videos of all the subjects and do all the homework so that when the school reopens, you are already ahead of the other students of other schools. Thank you so much.